note of more than 2 words. Sorry, more than 2 questions. Take note of more than 2 questions at the same time. Each question you get to, take note of the next question. When you hear the answer to the first question, sorry, when you hear the answer to the second question, note that you've missed the answer to the first question. Just move on. Don't dwell on that, because the audio will not be replayed. It will play only once. So try as much as you can to pay attention to at least more than one question at a time, at least 2 questions at a time. It is very important. So then they said adhere to the word count. Now the word count would usually appear, or the instruction on the word count would usually appear in the instruction on the word count would usually appear in your instruction. Most times it is the only instruction that you'd come across. They could ask you, write no more than 1 word, write no more than 2 words. Now, if you're asked to write no more than 1 word, this simply means that if your answer was supposed to be the train that you heard in the question, that you heard in the audio rather, and your answer was supposed to be the train, and you wrote the train, and the instruction was write no more than 1 word, then trust me, you failed that. You heard the train correctly, but they said write no more than 1 word. So it's best to simply write train. Now, one thing that usually happens is, in this kind of a case, that D that you wrote would have already been in the question paper, but you did not take note of that. That THE, that D that you wrote, would have already been in the question paper, but you did not take note of it. So please pay attention to this. Pay attention to your instruction. Then another instance, they could ask you to write no more than 2 words and or a number. Write no more than 2 words and or a number. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean? Let me quickly explain this. This gives you 3 different options. 3 different options. That is what this one gives you. Option 1, they said you can write 2 words and nothing more than that. Option 2, you can choose to write a number. Then option 3, you can write 2 words and a number. So please take note of this. You can write 2 words or less, a number, or 2 words and a number. Please take note of this. It is very important that you adhere to word counts. Then finally, the final basic tip here is to cross-check your answer. Cross-check your answers before transferring them. This is where you take note of that DD train that you wrote, if that was what you found in your answer. So it is very important to cross-check your answers. Then next, categories or question types that you would meet in the listening test. Now, there are 6 different question types that you definitely meet in the listening test. Let's take them one after the other. Number 1 is multiple choice questions. Now, these MCQs, they appear in both. Okay, all these questions, right? All these question types that you have in the listening test, they also appear in the reading. They also appear in the reading. So please take note of this. They also appear in the reading. Okay, so now let me explain something to you. Let me explain something to you. The multiple choice questions in the listening, there's something that can happen. They could simply tell you to write 1 answer. Pay attention to the instruction. If the instruction said choose one answer only, then you know that you're choosing one answer. But sometimes they could tell you you could have more than two answers. You could have more than one answer. So please take note of this. The multiple choice question, they are just the option A, B, C, or D, where you have multiple choices to choose from to answer a question. So please take note of this. A question with there could be a question with 3 possible answers, or even 4 possible answers, but you would find one here. Now, another one thing is, I mentioned that earlier, that they could ask you, you could be asked, right? You could be asked to choose more than one answer. So please take note of this. Now, those answers could be the start of a sentence. They could start the sentence, they could start the sentence and then ask you to choose the completion of it. Okay, so quickly, let's read what we have here. They said multiple choice questions have one correct answer or multiple correct answers. I mentioned that earlier. Check the question carefully to see how many answers are needed. Now, if you read the instruction will tell you that, okay, this is the number of answers that you need to select from these options you are given. This is the number of answers that you need to select from this option that you are given. Now, in a multiple choice question, you would be given any of the following options to choose from: A, B, C, A, B, or C. It could even extend to E. Please take note of this. It could even extend to E. Then they said a question with 3 possible answers. If it's up to E, it's a question with 5 possible answers. So you select one. Then they could say the question starts with the start at the start of a sentence and followed by the 3 possible ways to finish the sentence. That is in a case you have option A, B, C, A, B, or C. Now, in multiple choice questions, where you must select more than one correct answer, you will be given a longer list of possible answers. And you are told to select more than one answer. This instruction must always come if you are to select more than one answer. Multiple choice questions are used to assess a variety of skills. You may be expected to have a thorough understanding of a specific passage or a broad understanding of the main points in the listening test. Those are the 2 things that this multiple choice questions commonly checks you on. Then the next question type is the matching questions. Matching questions. Let me quickly read this before I explain it. You must match a numbered list of items heard in the listening audio to a set of options on the question paper. The set of options could be some kind of criterion. The matching tests your ability to listen for details and understand information given in a conversation on a common topic, such as identifying different types of hotel or guest house accommodations. It also assesses your ability to follow a 2-person conversation. It can also be used to assess your ability to identify the relationship and connections between facts in the listening. So simply put, this checks your ability to match certain things. Basically, your ability to understand a detailed conversation or your ability to understand in detail a conversation. Now, understanding in details means you are able to identify different types of things and which you would have to match, or your ability to pay attention to a 2-person conversation. You're listening to Mr. A, and at the same time, you're listening to what Mr. B is responding to what Mr. A is saying. And at the same time, possibly you're listening to what Mr. C is adding to the conversation. Please take note of this. Then they said, lastly, it can also be used to assess your ability to identify the relationship and connection between facts in the listening text.